So this exercise is about proportions, and in the PowerPoint earlier we talked about another method of drawing using unit lengths to measure things out. And so on page 25 or 26, you guys have an exercise you're supposed to do. It doesn't matter which one you can do. You can do this one, or you can do this one. And if you're one of those people that tend to finish things a little bit faster, you are welcome to do the other one for some bonus points that can be added later on. So again, doesn't matter. So I'm going to focus on this one right over here. And my first objective is to find one unit length to compare everything to. So this pair, for example, would be a perfect unit length to work from, or even this pair. It's a nice round feature that I can easily compare to everything else. But for kicks and giggles, I'm just going to go for this one. Let's see, and I'll zoom out just a bit so we can see both images. Okay, I'm going to take this pair and I'm going to say to myself, how big is this pair? So if I were looking at this from real life, what I'd be doing is taking my pencil, stretching out my arm, and looking at the top of this pair and placing my thumb or finger at the very bottom. And I'll say, okay, that's 1 unit length. How many pairs does it take to get to the very top of the jug? So I'll go 1, 2, let's see, 3. It's almost, roughly 3.5. I get to 3 pairs at the very base of this jug right here, so I'm going to use that measurement. I'm going to come down to my paper. I'm going to say, okay, this is my pair. I'm not worried about details at this point. I'm just thinking about shapes and measurements. I'm not worried about the stem. I'm not worried about the shadows. I'm just thinking about the unit length. So I said 3 pairs. So here's 1 pair, 2, 3. So I know that lip of that jug, or where the neck starts to begin and the shoulders is roughly right up there. And I'm just going to make a mark. And now I can say to myself, okay, how many pair widths does it take to get to the edge of this pair over here? So I'm going to take my pencil again, put my finger where that width is, and I got 1 pair, 2 pair, roughly 3 pairs also. And I'll come down here, measure 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make a little mark. That's where the edge is. I can also use my pencil or some sort of straight edge to measure angles. So for example, where should I go next? I can create a nice horizontal line. The bottom of the pair lines up pretty evenly, or close to it, to the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to come in, maybe make a little line as an idea. And I can, let's see, what is the angle of this pair to the jar lid over here? So I know the edge of this pair is over here, and I know that I can make an angle. What I'm basically doing here, I'm creating an outside structure of everything, or I'm enveloping is another term for it. Okay, let's see, I'm going to create a vertical line where this pair is. The outside of this pair almost lines up to the very edge of this jug right here. But it takes practice, knowing where good places are to make reference lines. Let's see. So I'm going to guess this is probably where the top of the jug is. I'm not, again, worried about too many details at this point in time. All I'm worried about is getting proportions down. And I should have some wiggle room to make adjustments as needed. Okay, so I'm looking at this vertical line of the jug. It kind of intersects right in the middle of that pair over here. And I'm going to get the bottom of this pair by looking at the angle from this pair to this pair, making little measurements. Sometimes it might help to make some gesture drawing, which is basically very loose drawings of where you think things are going to be placed, and then double check later. Okay, there's the jug. All right. And now I have this pair. It's a little bit farther down. Pay attention to how things are curving at the very bottom. often, sometimes I run into students and their brain is thinking about a flat surface. And when they start drawing, let's see, I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper here. They draw a pear, and then they draw the other pear that they see behind that pear, and then the round pear that's over here. And they're making it on a flat edge. Or even if they're drawing this jar over here, they're thinking about this jar, and they put this flat edge at the bottom right over here. But in reality, that's not what we see, correct? Their brain is thinking, I have a flat table, and all these things are sitting on a flat table, and they make a flat table and draw all of these objects. But the reality is that there's some depth and there's some staggering, and you need to pay attention to that staggering, like how this pear is a little bit higher than the pear in front of it because it's further back. Or this jug, let's see, there's a jug, that just because it's sitting on a flat table doesn't mean that it has a flat bottom, that there's this elliptical curve that is happening, and noticing that there's a curve at the very bottom. And so anyways, keep that in mind as you guys are going. Let's see, there's this pear over here. I'm just going to double check. The top of this pear lines up pretty well with the top of this pear. Okay, and I'm just going to continue just working on this. If you have problems with shoulders of a vase or whatnot, my advice is to create a circle here. There's something about shoulders of a vase or a jug that just make it really hard to get it perfectly even, because usually what happens is one shoulder gets lower, the other one is higher, and I have to draw a circle there to make sure that I kind of get it as even as I possibly can. Okay, and I'll just kind of keep on going and going. So what I'm looking for when I'm grading these is I'm looking for proportions, that you're looking at the angles, you're measuring angles using the skewer, or you could use a pencil that I've handed out to you guys, and you're measuring vertical lines, horizontal lines, so a lot like what we've been working on with the barg, but this is just a little bit more looser kind of drawing, which probably some of you will prefer. And once I get a lot of these main points down, I better check this angle here. What is the edge of the bowl to here? Oh good, I kind of guessed right. And if I guessed wrong, I would move the line. Let's see. So far, so good. All right. So basically, this is what I'm looking for. You guys are welcome. Like once you get the basics down, now that I got all my proportions done, now I can start worrying about things like shadow. Like I can start shading this pear here if I want to, or cleaning up my lines. That's another thing I can do. Looking more at the details, or like the little things, I guess you could say. Not like the stems or what a pear actually looks like, focusing more on the actual object, and then just instead of all the objects all around it. Alright, so I'll leave this assignment to you guys, and that is it. I'll just keep on quickly drawing until I run out of time here, because I got about 1 minute left.